Hey everyone, so this week we're talking about our preferred gender pronouns. And first off, I'd like to apologize for uploading my video like more than a day late. Uh, I've been really busy with catching up on classes, so that's that. And preferred gender pronouns. So my preferred gender pronoun is male pronouns, so he, him, his. And I've had a lot of experiences with misgendering and passing at the same time. I've gone through, uh, like, as for pronoun usage, it's kind of developed as I have come out. So in the beginning, when I was coming out and coming to terms with my gender identity, I wasn't really a stickler for people using my male pronouns. Just as I wasn't a stickler for people using Andrew, even though I let people use Andy a lot, Andy, for the main fact that I wasn't as assertive about people getting my gender right, my identity right, pronouns, name, everything. And so eventually it evolved into Andrew, and I've been better about correcting people. Andy, the name Andy basically represents a lot of gender neutral part of my coming out process. And as for being misgendered, it sucks. Uh, every experience that I've been misgendered and has been a really bad experience because essentially when people misgender me, um, I I feel like shit for like most of the day. Um, it all goes back to the beginning of the day, and I think about it in a way that I spend, depending on the day and how I feel and how I look like in the mirror when I wake up, I usually spend from half an hour to an hour looking at myself in the mirror, switching through outfits, like back and forth, checking out my chest, uh, wondering if I should wear my glasses or not my glasses that day, um, to see which one's better for passing. Also, checking out my hips, if my hips are looking okay, if the whole outfit's making my hips look narrow, and then going out and deciding if my voice that day is low enough. And if it's not low enough, aka if I get misgendered, I will purposely lower it. And it's funny because my sister had asked me, what does your low voice sound like? I want to know because, I usually don't lower my voice around her. So I will lower my voice just so I can get gendered correctly. And like I said, misgendering seriously affects me negatively, and it ruins my day until I forget about it, or if people gender me the right way again. Uh, as for recently, what's interesting is like I've been misgendered 5 times this week, and it's the most I've ever been misgendered. Um, it's it's particularly interesting because intriguing to me because this is the week that my first week being on T, and you would think that like after of all the weeks I've lived in my life, this would be the week where I'd be less misgendered. But instead, I've been called ma'am or referred to as she or her, and by strangers. Out when I'm buying something in public or something like that, 5 times this week, and so it's been a really tough week in that sense, and trying to come to terms with my personal relationships with people because that's been really hard, and you know mustering the self confidence back to back to the level that I did begin with in the beginning of the week. And the misgendering will affect most of the time if I'm comfortable enough going into the men's restroom, the men's public restroom, because essentially, if I get misgendered, I will feel uncomfortable, and scared when I enter a male restroom. However, I haven't had a bad experience yet, knock on wood, crossing my fingers, in a men's restroom before, because guys just don't look at each other. Um, well, why are using the right pronoun or the correct pronouns important? I mean, it's very important not to assume because of the fact that it can cause a terribly awkward experience for any person, especially on the phone. One thing that's really important to note is that misgendering can happen on the phone and it can happen in person. And what I've experienced is that I know for sure that when I'm on the phone, I'm gonna be ma'amed because knowing people can't see my face, and if it's a high voice, ma'am. If it's a low voice, sir. And so I've kind of already accepted the fact that if I'm gonna do something and I'm not gonna see the person ever, I'm just gonna go with it and not correct people on the phone because I'm usually doing legal stuff and I can't correct them because it's just no point. And if it's in person, I will correct people. And so interactions on the phone versus interactions in person are very different because you can't see the person in the face. And as for being API, coming from a different cultural background and gendering, in Mandarin Chinese, we have um, a gender neutral pronoun colloquially, and on paper, when you write it, it's not. So, for instance, in Chinese, we have a pronoun called ta, ta, when you pronounce it. And ta can mean he, she, basically like a Z. So if you're referring to someone and you don't say that they're a guy or girl, you're going to say they're never going to know unless you specify when you're talking in a conversation. And then when you're writing it, which is very funny because in Chinese class I have to write. Sometimes they'll have prompts and say, um, who is your desired partner? And then so when I say ta, I have to specify guy, girl. And so only when it's written do you have to specify the gender. Otherwise, colloquially, you have that leeway to be ambiguous and gender neutral. So, in essence, misgendering is a huge part of my day, and I know that every day I wake up, the first thing is first is, all right, am I gonna pass today? Walking out that door is a huge thing. It's a huge deal for me. Sometimes I don't want to go out because of the fact that I'm not feeling male enough today, and it's something that is gonna get better as I transition. But obviously, being in my first week, the T's kind of already left my body, and um, trying to come to terms with that is also really tough, and it's going to be a very slow process. And misgendering also reminds us of the privilege that people who lie in the gender binary embody, and something that trans people or gender nonconforming people don't have. And transitioning is a huge part of recognizing and experiencing and living through this privilege that we don't have. Be it voice, features on your face and body. And so it's kind of like a rite of passage when transitioning. Some people have it better, some people pass better, some people don't. So huge deal, big part of my day, and I'm kind of ranting or rambling on, but that is it's going to be a huge part in the next few months. But I'm sure it will get better as my testosterone takes effect. So that's it.